So you have fallen for the charms for one of these beautiful beasts and are considering perhaps buying one for your little girl or maybe your little boy. Well, there's a few things to consider before you actually take the plunge and buy one. First of all, have you got the property yourself to look after them and to house them? If not, you're going to have to adjust them. And that means putting them onto someone else's property and having those people look after them perhaps if you can't get there every day. But you need to remember, if you do adjust them, that someone needs to look at them every day. They need to feed them, they need to groom them, they need to put rugs on them depending on the temperature. So they can't just be left to their own devices because they are domesticated. The other thing that you need to think about are the costs of things like dentists, farriers and vets. So you need to get a farrier in about every 8 weeks. Even if you're not riding your horse, they need to be having a look at your horse's feet all the time because you can see how much weight is going onto the tips of a horse's fingers basically. So they are very important parts of a horse and they really need to be looked after very carefully. The other thing that you need to think about is a dentist. Now, a horse's teeth are one of the most vital parts of it. If they can't get grass into their body, then they're just not going to survive. So a horse needs to eat about 5% of its body weight in food per day. That's a hell of a lot of food. And that's why they've always got their nose to the grass. So if your horse isn't seeing a dentist and it can't chew the food and break it down sufficiently, it just can't digest it and it just won't put on weight. So the horse needs to see a dentist about once a year, perhaps more, depending on what their mouth is looking like when you get the dentist out. Now, vets. If your horse doesn't run into any problems throughout the year and they don't have foot abscesses or other problems like colic, then you probably won't need to call the vet out other than for their annual vaccination and checkup. So that's really important. Now, vets, farriers and dentists all up per annum cost about $600. So that's what you're looking at for those sorts of costs. Now, if you run into strife and the horse does have a bout of colic or something like that, you're looking at about at least $300 because it's an emergency situation and the vet usually is coming out at night. So you need to consider that. So, what's the right sort of horse to get for your child? Well, when you're looking at purchasing a horse, don't just go out and buy one. You need to have a vet check before you buy the horse. That means that you need to have a vet have a look at the horse from head to toe and make sure that it doesn't have any existing problems, because after all, you don't want to buy someone else's problems, especially when your child is going to fall in love with the animal. So that's the first thing. Make sure the horse is vet checked before you purchase it. Then after the vet check, which by the way costs around $250, you need to think about what size horse you want for your child. So if you've got a little girl who's, say, for anywhere from 8 to 12 and she wants to start riding a horse, then a good size is about 12 hands. Now that means that the horse from the ground to its withers is 12 hands high. Now that means that the horse is going to be able to respond to your little girl. It's not going to be too wide in its girth and she's not going to be too far off the ground to get up on the horse. But of course your little girl needs to learn how to ride the horse, and that usually means that they join a pony club. And pony clubs will teach them all about how to look after their horse and how to ride it. And don't forget, horses need to be constantly ridden if you want them to be really in tune with your child. So pony club costs around $200 a year and up, depending on what the pony club is providing and where it's located. So all up, to look after a horse or to own a horse, if it's on your own property and you don't need to adjust it, you're possibly looking at anywhere between $3,000 to $5,000, depending on what happens. If you need to adjust it, then adjustment can cost anywhere from $20 to $120, depending on what the people who are leasing the land to you are offering. They may do everything. They may come out, groom the horse, feed it, worm it, do absolutely everything, and you never need to come and have a look at it. But then what would be the point of having the horse? So these animals are really beautiful. I respect them a lot and they can be a great pet for your child, but you need to make sure that your child understands the responsibility of owning one of these super intelligent, graceful beasts.